I have been meaning to make this video for a while now. I've been very busy and, as you'll soon hear about, very sick. So this is my official, I really wanted to do like a pregnancy announcement video or like my first trimester recap or, you know, all of the cool fun videos that women do to commemorate their pregnancies. But for me, it's been a little bit different. I'm 23 weeks today. I'm finally starting to feel more like myself. I was diagnosed with Hyperemesis Gravidarum really not that long ago, maybe about 20 weeks. It took a while for me to get a doctor to take my claim seriously and really listen to what I had to say. So, but I'll talk about that a little more in detail later. I'll start with when we decided to have kids. So I think it was September of 2020. Austin, my husband, and I had plans to go spend the weekend with his grandparents at their lake house with some of his cousins to help them rebuild some stairs. And we went and we had a lot of fun and we drank a bunch and we really bonded, or at least, I mean, obviously Austin is bonded with his family, but I really bonded with his grandparents. Not that I wasn't bonded with them before, but we really got to spend a lot of time together. And that weekend I was like, Austin, I want your grandparents to be a part of our kids' lives. I really want to have kids soon so that they are around, you know, for their lives. And it's not even that his grandparents are very old or anything. It's just that, you know, the clock's ticking once you reach a certain age. And so that was September of 2020. And after that weekend, we were like, okay, well, we're not going to try to get pregnant, but we're not going to prevent it. And October 31st, I found out I was pregnant. So it didn't take long, which, considering my history with, how do I even put it? Considering all of the times that I've had doctors tell me that I would struggle to get pregnant or that it might be difficult to me based on the fact that I may have PCOS or I may have hormone imbalances just due to me never having regular periods. It was truly a miracle. I was very surprised. The day that I found out was Halloween, and I peed on the stick, and I was like, how did this happen? Like, duh, you know how this happens. But it was definitely one of those things where I was like, oh my god, I can't believe, you know, I'm 26 years old and I'm pregnant. Like, who let me do this? Because you never feel ready and you never feel old enough or ready enough to have a baby. But we signed up for it, so we were very excited and happy. And we told our close family. I told, you know, my mom that night at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, I didn't take the test until probably like 9 or 10 p.m. We were watching a movie, and I just, I had this feeling, I had a cramp in my stomach, and I was like, well, that's weird. Like, I don't have periods ever. I think in 2020 I had one period, and so I got a cramp, and I was like, that's weird. I never have cramps. Like, I'm going to take a pregnancy test. So 9, 10 o'clock on, I think it was a Friday, if I'm right, I took a pregnancy test and it was positive. So the first person I called was my 2 best friends. And then I immediately called my mom over and over again until she woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and answered the phone. And then we told Austin's parents very shortly after. So, I kind of remember getting a little bit of backlash for telling people so soon, but I am definitely of the mindset that if I'm going to celebrate with my loved ones, I'm going to mourn with them. So I was prepared to do that if I had to. But luckily, everything was perfectly fine. We saw the baby for the first time at 5 weeks. We had an ultrasound to confirm the pregnancy, and at that time I immediately started to get sick. I was sick every day, all day, 24/7, throwing up anywhere from 5 to 25 times a day, and that really depended on a lot of factors: how much I slept, how much I ate, how much water I drank, and I was being very picky about the things that I was eating because I knew it was very important that what was getting down be of substance for the baby. So, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't salad, it was like chicken or something. Like, I knew it needed to be something that had a lot of protein, a lot of nutrients, because I was maybe getting down half a meal a day. And at the time, the doctor I was seeing did prescribe me Zofran, and told me that it just happens. This happens for some pregnant women, and you'll just have to deal with it, basically. So I did, and I continued to take Zofran. It did not work. We tried promethazine. That did not work. We switched to, I don't even remember, some other brand. It did not work until eventually it got to the point where I was throwing up so much, the room was spinning, I wasn't keeping water down, I wasn't keeping food down, I was hysterical, and I ended up in the emergency room. And luckily, the baby was perfectly fine, nothing wrong, measuring right on track, the size it's supposed to be. My blood work was fine, my urine was fine, I was just not able to keep anything down. And I think a lot of the reason why I am so far have been fine is because of my size. I'm a bigger girl, and I think that just having the extra weight on me was beneficial to the baby, because it always had some kind of extra food store to leech off of if I wasn't able to eat that day. So after that experience of going to the emergency room, I decided to switch doctors, and I switched to a different doctor within the same, different practice, but it's within the same hospital, so that I could still deliver at the hospital that I wanted to deliver at. And this doctor so far has been much better. I have not been back into the emergency room since then, but at 23 weeks, I'm still throwing up weekly, at least. Once I hit 20 weeks, I stopped throwing up daily, because at that point I was throwing up at least 5 times a day on a good day. And on a bad day, it was probably 20, 25. So for the last 3 weeks, I've gone a considerable amount of time without throwing up. I can go a week or a week and a half, but it's still very sensitive. I'm still taking Reglan every day, every 8 hours. I started to try and wean myself off of the medication, and that did not work. I started throwing up just as frequently, just as often. But I'm thankful that if I do still have the prescription, and if I take it, I'm okay. I'm able to work. If we weren't working from home during this whole thing, I truly would not have a job. It's the only reason I've been able to continue working, is because I am at home and I'm able to take breaks to throw up, honestly. And when I say take breaks, I mean there was quite a while where I was just not working. Like, I just had to burn through a lot of sick time, just because I was sick. And that's the way it is for me, unfortunately. And I'm making this video because I don't think I've ever heard this story from anyone I know, and I know a lot of women who have had children, and all you ever hear about is how great of an experience having a child is, and that yes, of course, it's uncomfortable, and yes, of course, it's hard to give birth, but at the end of the day, it's this beautiful thing, and you're glowing. And I can honestly say that I have never glowed less. I have never felt less powerful. I have never felt so incapable of doing things on my own. Even just tonight, I took the trash out and I threw up because walking the trash bin to the corner of my driveway was too much for me to handle. It's just, if you know me personally, you know that I very much so take pride in being a strong, independent woman who enjoys using her body and working out. And yes, I have always been overweight, but you can ask anyone. I've always been the type of person who is doing something or staying active or playing a sport. And so being so sedentary, not only with COVID, but also with hyperemesis, has been super hard on me. And I really wanted to share my story because I know now that there are a lot of other women out there who don't have enjoyable experiences while they're pregnant, who don't feel the glow or the love or this like magical experience that people say that it should be. And don't get me wrong, I'm so blessed and I'm so excited to have a child. It's all I've ever wanted to do. It's the only career I've ever been excited to have, is to be a mom. So I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, which of course someone will, because there's always that one Karen in the bunch. But it's definitely been much harder than I ever anticipated. So I'm a little over halfway now, so excuse me, things could change and I'm prepared for that, and things could get better and things could get worse. But so far all of the tests have come back positive. The baby is measuring right on track. It's actually pretty big. I'm peeing all the time. I don't have very many cravings as far as food goes. I did maybe weeks 4 through 6, I had some cravings. But once the hyperemesis really set in, I don't crave food. More than anything, I dread a meal just because I don't know how it's gonna go. But for the most part, for the last 3 weeks, it's been much better, and I'm able to, eat with my husband a real meal. Definitely not to the normal size of what I would eat before, but something of substance at least, which is great. We do not know the gender, and we do not plan to know the gender. We've already had our anatomy scan, and it was such an overwhelming experience for both of us to see the baby on the screen. I'm so thankful that Austin got to go with me to that appointment, because most of our appointments he hasn't been able to go to, but they did allow him to go to the anatomy scan, and that was so great. I could just see it on his face, the realization, like, oh my gosh, this is real. This isn't just some crazy thing my wife has been barfing about. But it was really great that he got to go, especially because I know there are a lot of women out there who aren't getting to take their husbands or significant others or support person with them to these things, because I very much so could have gotten bad news that day. And if I would have had to have gotten bad news alone, that would be devastating. And my heart breaks for all the women out there where that is a reality for them. So I'm very thankful that I didn't get bad news and that I didn't have to do it alone. Hyperemesis has really taken over the majority of my pregnancy. I haven't thought much about decorating the nursery or how I want to have the baby shower. Those all still feel very distant to me. I still don't feel up to those kind of things. Like, it's March now. It's definitely garden season, and from my other videos on this channel that I'm a big gardener. It's like my favorite thing is to just get out and play in the dirt. And because of hyperemesis, I don't think that's going to be as big of a part of my life this year. I'm slowly coming to terms with that not only am I pregnant and very sick during prime gardening season, I will have a newborn during prime harvesting season. And I'm probably not going to be able to fulfill as much as I would like to the amount of plants that I normally would. So that is something that I am sacrificing, but it is something it's not the end of the world. Spring will come again, and I will get to plant a garden again next year, so it will be fine. But other than that, it's really been great. Austin is the best person I could have ever imagined to have a child with. I'm so excited to see him become a dad. He's been very helpful. I feel so guilty. I know I shouldn't, but he's been a true God-sent angel. But I think I will do maybe an end of the 3rd trimester recap once I'm about to deliver. But other than that, nothing truly out of this world has happened. Other than nausea, I'm really tired. I'm so exhausted. I have heartburn. The typical pregnancy symptoms. Everything other than the nausea has been normal. I haven't gained any weight at all. I weigh the same amount the day that I found out I was pregnant that I do today, and I know that's pretty common. Most women gain their weight towards the end of their pregnancy, and my goal is to just mitigate that as much as possible. If I gain weight, I gain weight, and if I don't, I don't, and whatever happens, as long as the baby is healthy, then I will be happy. But other than that, I will make another video, just if for anything memories at the end, in case I missed anything here. But I just wanted to share my story because I know that it's really hard for other women who are going through this to not have resources or allies who have also gone through the things that they have gone through. So if you are out there and you are suffering with hyperemesis, you are not alone. And it is literally the hardest thing I've ever done, or probably will ever do, or ever will do, besides probably give birth. But I'll talk about that, and maybe I'll do like another video afterwards where I talk about birth, because I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of strong opinions about that as well. But yeah, other than that, I'm very thankful and I'm very blessed, and fingers crossed that the remaining 17 weeks do not entail any barfing. But if they do, we'll deal with that when it comes. But it is what it is. Thank you for watching. Definitely leave me some comments down below if you have hyperemesis, and you have questions or concerns, or if you're experiencing something differently than I did or am so far. I'd love for this to be a place where women can talk about how they're feeling and what they're going through without the judgment of others, because let's be honest, being pregnant, I have never been more judged or assumed about in my life, and I think that's a stigma that we should break, and it might be a great place for women to feel comfortable to talk about their feelings. So whatever you're going through, it will get better. And that's it. Have a good day.